One minute, Crimea was just baking away in the afternoon sun, then boom! Total chaos at 2:48 p.m. Out of nowhere, the Russian airbase at Saky just blew up. We're talking hangars, fuel tanks, planes, everything going up in massive fireballs you could probably see from the next country over. So much for Novofedorivka being some sleepy safe zone. Moscow thought this place was untouchable, locked down tight with all their fancy air defenses and that smug sense of nothing can touch us here. Yeah, that illusion lasted about 2 seconds. Satellite images the next day showed scorched tarmac and craters where jets once sat in neat formation. Russia called it an accident. Ukraine said nothing, then everything. Behind that silence was a message about precision, reach, and psychological warfare. This is the story of how a single, well-timed strike exposed the fragility of a superpower's assumptions and what it reveals about the new art of war, where timing, deception, and information can be as lethal as the weapon itself. Novofedorivka's runway ran like an artery along Crimea's western coast. In peacetime, it saw routine sorties. In wartime, it became a nerve center for Russian tactical aircraft, a base pulsing with supply chains and projection power across the Black Sea. For the occupying force, it was no front line, just a hub. But hubs, like hearts, can stop. Military nodes live and die by rhythm. The logistic cycle, commander visits, maintenance shifts, even the small rituals that signal routine. Briefings ending with nods, post-flight toasts, technicians wiping oil-stained hands create predictable time signatures. Predictability in war is a weakness disguised as order. Open-source observers track the patterns in the weeks before the strike. Convoys arriving at fixed hours. Aircraft cycling through familiar runs. Social media posts showing a base alive, relaxed, unguarded. Predictable routines are deadly. They reveal windows, moments when defenses blink, when senior officers gather in the same room, when maintenance distracts eyes from the sky. That is the psychological layer of modern strikecraft. Not just the weapon that hits, but the patience to wait until the moment hurts most. At 2:48 p.m., August 9th, 2022, the pattern broke. A pulse of light, then concussion. Shutters shattered, alarms wailed, and smoke boiled upward in gray columns visible for miles. Radars blinked blind. Radio traffic turned chaotic. Crews shouted for confirmation, accident, or attack. No one knew. Russian officials first blamed negligence, a mishandled shell, a maintenance fire, anything but an external strike. But satellite imagery told a harder truth. The craters were too clean, the spacing too deliberate. For minutes, confusion ruled. Soldiers ran, civilians filmed, the air filled with the echo of secondary explosions, each one a punctuation mark in chaos. Columns of smoke rolled toward the sea. Satellite photos the next day told the story in geometry. Round craters, blackened tarmac, the bones of fighter jets still burning. Russia called it an internal accident. The shapes of the craters said otherwise. Perfect circles. Identical spacing. Too perfect, too precise. In the silence that followed, analysts began their own kind of forensics. Planet Labs imagery, thermal data, and open-source videos revealed blast patterns inconsistent with a simple munitions fire. Something had struck from outside, clean, coordinated, timed. For days, no one claimed responsibility. Only later did hints surface. A brief comment, a wry remark in Kiev. The message was subtle but unmistakable. This wasn't luck. This was design. Eyewitnesses described chaos. Inside and outside the base, fires rolled toward fuel depots. One civilian died, several were injured. Social media captured stunned residents as plumes turned day into dusk. On military channels, the reaction was instant. Disbelief, followed by dread. The strike hadn't just destroyed planes, it had shattered the illusion that Crimea was untouchable. Weeks later, Ukraine's commander-in-chief, Valery Zaluzhny, confirmed what many had guessed. The attack was theirs. The quiet admission turned speculation into strategy. Kyiv could reach deep, and it had done so with precision. When an airbase goes up in flames, one question dominates: what weapon did it? The absence of visible missile trails and the uniformity of the craters narrowed the list, but didn't end the debate. Some pointed to the MGM-140 ATA-CMS, the American-made ballistic missile. Washington's denials made that unlikely. Others floated Ukraine's own Hrim-2 Grim project, a domestic missile with the range, perhaps, but uncertain readiness. A third theory: cruise missiles launched from the sea, slow but surgically accurate. And then came the whisper of loitering munitions, small, expendable drones, deadly only when they hit fuel or warheads waiting to ignite. The craters themselves told a story of coordination. Their diameter and heat signature suggested moderate-yield warheads, powerful enough to breach fuel storage or munitions bays, not so large as to obliterate the base entirely. Analysts concluded it was likely a standoff strike, designed not for spectacle but for effect. That's the tactical art. One explosion creates another. A hit that lights a fuel line, ruptures a munitions rack, and sets off chain reactions can do more damage than any single bomb. The aim isn't to destroy a jet, it's to make the airbase destroy itself. From that lens, Saky wasn't chaos. It was choreography. Whether missiles or drones, the sequence was engineered to ignite pressure points, to make predictability fatal. But the weapon was only half the story. The real precision lay in timing. Reports suggested the strike came just as commanders were wrapping up a day's rotation, a quiet off-duty window when alertness ebbed. In intelligence work, those are the cracks you wait for. The moment when vigilance softens into routine. The moment to strike. Public footage and open-source chatter hinted at normal activity. Maintenance crews, debriefs, casual talk, minutes before impact. If Kiev waited for that lull, the strike became more than kinetic. It became psychological warfare, an attack on the mind as much as the map. Striking when the enemy relaxes doubles the impact. The first blast hits the base, the second hits morale. For pilots and commanders, the message was cruelly clear. Even celebration is unsafe. Politically, it was equally calculated. Kiev's gradual confirmation, neither immediate nor delayed into irrelevance, extended the strike's life in headlines and memory. Each stage of acknowledgement reinforced a single devastating truth: Crimea could burn again. Operationally, the aftermath rippled fast. Russia dispersed its aircraft, widened spacing on aprons, hardened hangars, and relocated munitions storage. These defensive moves slowed sortie rates and added friction to logistics. In war, friction is time, and time favors the side that can make the other hesitate. The human dimension was just as telling. Pilots grew wary. Ground crews double-checked procedures. The easy rhythm of confidence was replaced by suspicion. Each night, as smoke drifted off the coast, the myth of a safe rear decayed a little further. Strategically, Moscow faced an old dilemma: retaliate and risk escalation, or adapt and absorb the hit. History shows that when rear area sanctuaries collapse, large powers bleed efficiency. The Saky strike forced Russia to spend more on defense, surveillance, and repair, resources that once powered offense. And in the information domain, Kiev had the last word. Ambiguity became a weapon. The strike was proof that silence, followed by revelation, can wound as deeply as any detonation. Beyond the wreckage, the operation symbolized a shift. Ukraine's domestic arms industry was expanding. Guided munitions, drones, precision systems, all designed to multiply reach. By 2025, self-sufficiency and long-range strike capability was no longer theory, but infrastructure. Modern warfare, as Saky showed, isn't just about firepower, it's about ecosystems. Intelligence collectors, analysts, planners, engineers, and communicators aligned to turn moments into messages. The Saky strike wasn't just a mission, it was a demonstration of how 21st century war fuses hardware, psychology, and timing into a single seamless act. For defenders, the lesson is brutal but clear. Deny predictability, disperse assets, harden your logistics. For attackers, patience is the new weapon. Wait, watch, and hit when the routine becomes ritual. Kiev's method, precision without recklessness, silence before revelation, extended impact far beyond the flames. Ambiguity became strategy. Timing became doctrine. Every frame of satellite footage, every plume of smoke became part of that message. In modern war, the rear is no longer safe. And as the fires at Saky dimmed, one reality lingered. Somewhere over the Black Sea, the echo of that day still hangs in the air, a reminder that even silence can strike first. The explosions at Saky were more than a headline. They were a concentrated lesson in modern strikecraft, an operation that combined patient observation, deliberate timing, and an understanding of cascading effects inside a military node. Whether the weapon was a missile, a swarm, or a hybrid approach, the operation's genius was in the synchronization of intelligence, timing, and legal messaging. In the age of small satellites, cheap sensors, and increasingly diverse munitions, rear areas can no longer be assumed safe. The Saky strike, measured in craters, burned metal, and altered doctrines, is a reminder that wars are contests of adaptation. The side that watches, times, and integrates systems gains disproportionate leverage. And somewhere over the Black Sea, as smoke drifted into the fading light, silence returned, but nothing about that silence was routine again.